had a makeover since our paths last crossed.
Victor Freeze, aka Mr. Freeze, is one of my favorite villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery. A villain who isn't truly a villain at all. All he wants is to be with his wife, to love her, and to take care of her. But in order to do that, he must find the cure. Victor only commits his crimes in hopes of finding and or creating that cure for Nora. His story is one of love, one of sadness, but that's not the Mr. Freeze we're looking at today. This version of Mr. Freeze has love for other things. Two things, specifically. Them being diamonds and anything that will enhance his ice abilities, such as liquid nitrogen. But before becoming Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze started out as nothing more than a simple thief. After a successful diamond heist, he was suddenly pursued by Batman. After Victor crashes, he gets up and runs into a cryogenics laboratory where Batman chases after him. In an attempt to reclaim the diamonds he dropped, he fell into one of the freezing pods with a live exposed cable. Despite the Batman's attempt to help Victor, it proved futile, and Victor was presumed dead. However, Victor was electrocuted at the exact same time his blood froze in his veins, mutating him into a quasi-undead being who could generate extreme cold around him. It didn't take Victor long to convince the scientists who revived him to build a suit for him to keep his powers under control. This newfound power, these chilling abilities, gave Victor a sense of strength he hasn't felt before. Victor was so used to being walked on, ignored, so used to being weak. But now, he's someone different. Something different. It wasn't just a simple makeover. Everything about him had changed. Where before he would swerve out of the way to make sure he didn't hit the homeless man, he now wants nothing more than to encase everyone within Gotham in ice. Victor then became one of Gotham's most known criminals and went by the name Mr. Freeze. Victor later works with Firefly in their attempt to have the city showered in a never-ending winter. It wasn't just freezing Gotham and all of its citizens that Victor wanted. Victor wanted Gotham to be his kingdom, and he would be its emperor, ruling over its icy lands. In Artifacts, Mr. Freeze is terrorizing the citizens of Gotham again. However, since he's upgraded himself, he now goes by the name Freeze 2.0. After a fight breaks out between the Dark Knight and Victor, Batman shows his limitations in his old age when struggling to pull Freeze 2.0 down to the ground.
When did this get so hard?
This moment showed Victor that Batman can't keep this up forever. A moment in thought that Victor would not forget. He knew Batman would only get weaker and slower as time went on. An idea was waiting to bloom for Victor. After causing a plane to reroute and crash, Victor picks up a diamond from the crash site and states that his plan is to use it in his cryo cannon.
Its uniquely perfect structure will allow it to act as an energy amplifier for my cryo cannon, a machine with the power to alter this city's weather forever.
Both Batman and Nightwing charge towards Freeze, but are too late. The machine has started, and the buildings begin to freeze solid. Victor then shoots Nightwing with an ice beam, freezing Grayson solid. Seeing his partner in such a state, Batman cannot pull himself up. Victor approaches the beaten and old Batman while charging his ice beam. Victor then freezes Batman where he stands, and so it appears that on that fateful day in the year 2027, Freeze 2.0 has won. Victor had taken down the Bat. He had finally become the Emperor of Gotham. All those years of being bested by the Bat had finally come to an end. He could now rule over Gotham as the king he always wanted to be. Or at least, so he thought. Victor was too busy soaking in his victory, too busy admiring his new kingdom to realize what the Batman had done. In his final stand, Batman remotely orders the Batwing to fire onto his position. Batman lies frozen solid in ice, ice, no longer being able to move. Freeze, feeling victorious, walks away from the two frozen heroes. The Batwing then approaches in the sky and shoots at the Batman as ordered. The missiles fly and hit Freeze, Batman, and Nightwing. The heroes are then freed from the ice. This tunnel vision that Victor found himself in, just like in the past, would lead to his defeat. His anger and desire for glory blinds him to so many things, but it's those very two things that motivate him to keep him going. Victor is driven by his rage, by that need for glory, making this Victor the polar opposite of what we're used to seeing. As Freeze 2.0 struggles to get up, Batman takes his time to attack Victor. Freeze, however, swats the bat off of him and tries to gain stability again, but Freeze 2.0 is too weak to move. The Batwing then spirals towards Freeze to ultimately stop him. The Batwing crashes into Freeze's location, and both Batman and Nightwing rush to the crash site. To their disbelief, Freeze is missing. The idea has finally blossomed. Victor now understands what he must do in order to rule Gotham. He's waited this long, so what's another 1,000 years? The idea is now a plan that has been set in motion. A plan that Victor hopes will lead him to his icy kingdom. At Freeze 2.0's lab, Victor stumbles not too far before crashing on the ground. Freeze crawls to a bed and states that he will cryogenically freeze himself. Then, the people of the future will wake him so that he may reawaken in a world without Batman. Freeze 2.0 has reawoken. Victor goes on to terrorize the city like he did 1,000 years ago. As he's terrorizing the city, Victor laughs about being in a world without Batman. Victor isn't just seeing a world without Batman, he's seeing a world for the taking. A world that he can claim as his own icy wonderland. This was a dream that Victor had for literally over 1,000 years. A dream that gave him meaning in life. And now, it finally seems like his dream will come true. But Victor should have known it wouldn't be that easy. Suddenly, the Batman swoops down from one of the high buildings. The Dark Knight then hits Victor with the anti-freeze solution. Freeze 2.0 falls to the ground, defeated. After his loss, Victor sees that the Batman he faced was just one of many. Victor waited 1,000 years just to awake in a world with more than one Batman. His rage, along with his obsession of becoming the Emperor, blinded him. The story of Victor Freeze in the Batman 2004's universe is not one of love, but one of hate. The change in his story was a small change, but it made a big difference. Before, the Victor we knew was motivated by love, but the Victor we see in this is motivated by power. His ultimate goal is not to cure his sick wife, but to encase all of Gotham and its innocent civilians in ice forever. He was so determined to achieve that evil goal that he froze himself and waited 1,000 years for Batman to die. This show actually paints Victor as a true villain, and that, my friends, is why the Batman 2004's version of Mr. Freeze is the most evil version of Mr. Freeze. I really hope y'all enjoyed the time you spent here, and if you did, let me know down below. I would love to get y'all's feedback and to just hear what y'all's take on everything is. But with that said, it's been ugly, and I'll see y'all in the next one.